In an act of generosity, the likes of which have not been seen since the Trojan horse arrived bearing gifts, China's ambassador to Australia has offered us economic advice. Xi Jinping's top diplomat has kindly assured Anthony Albanese there's no reason to increase Australia's defence spending, none at all. And besides, if we spend money on self-defence, how would we afford our various social welfare programs? Ambassador Xiao has told our government via an op-ed in The Australian, dramatically increasing military spending places a heavy fiscal burden on the countries involved, undermining their efforts to boost economies and improve livelihoods. Did you get that? Any lift in defence spending would undermine our economic development. Actually, missiles raining down on Sydney would tend to undermine our economic development as well, but I digress. The point is, you can't have national defence and therapeutic cuddles for people on the NDIS, so maybe give the air defence system a miss. Now, you might think that's a bit rich coming from a regime that builds artificial islands, deploys spy balloons like it's a party trick, and runs the world's fastest growing navy like they're preparing to invade, Taiwan. But no, China's man in Canberra, by which I mean their ambassador, not our Prime Minister, assures us that the Chinese military build-up is all, and I quote, normal. So China conducting the biggest military build-up since World War II, that's normal. But for Australia to even fantasise about working submarines, a decade from now, well, that's a threat to world peace. You'd have to be Paul Keating to believe that. The Chinese ambassador's open letter was actually quite touching. Dictatorships don't usually lose sleep over someone else's welfare budget. But Mr. Xiao, well, he's only got Australia's best interests at heart. Now, I know some of you cynically believe the Chinese ambassador is only saying such things because, well, he's wanting Australia left defenceless as the Chinese military threat grows. But that would be a very cynical take. Xi Jinping's man has assured us that China and Australia are, quote, friends, not foes. And of course we are. I mean, who else but friends? Hack your parliament, economically blackmail your exports, and fantasise openly about a future where the Pacific is exclusively Mandarin speaking. If that's not mateship, I don't know what is. The timing of the ambassador's warning that Australia would be unwise to lift defence spending is interesting. Penny Wong heads to the US this week, where she'll be again petitioned to raise our defence spending, a request the Albanese government has so far resisted. To put us all at ease, the Chinese ambassador reminded Anthony Albanese that his nation spends just 1.5% of GDP on its military. How modest, how restrained, just a little 1.5%. Now, of course, when you have the world's second largest economy, 1.5% of your GDP works out to be a military budget larger than the GDP of most of Southeast Asia combined. But don't worry, the ambassador writes, and I quote, China has always been a steadfast supporter, defender and promoter of world peace. Of course, the almost $300 billion China spent on defence last year, that's a conservative estimate, well, that was just for neighbourhood watch. So there you have it. The ambassador of a regime which spends billions ensuring its dominance warns Australia not to spend any money ensuring its survival. The real message, of course, here is simple and rather obvious. China wants Australia defenceless and docile, not because we're friends, but because it's easier to invade a mate who's left their front door open to save on electricity. When a communist dictatorship tells you not to spend money on defence, it's probably time to double it, like to 5% of GDP? Only a fool would think otherwise. And what kind of a man do you reckon the CCP believes is running Australia?